Good afternoon, viewers. I am Simon Masinde. I welcome you today in this episode where we are talking about proactive leadership. Proactive leadership. And you'll find that proactive leadership will help you grow into a leader who that will make even greater investment for future generations. So is one leader who will grow opportunities even for the future. And now, if you are not a proactive leader, then definitely the opposite will apply. In this case, you will become a reactive leader. And remember, a proactive leader is one who plans. But when it comes to a reactive leader, is one who reacts, is one who deals with circumstances or situations in the enterprise that has already taken place. So it means he is solving problems. But a reactive leader is one who plans before those problems occur. So in this episode, viewers, we want to discuss ways on how to become a proactive leader. Because in this year 2022, we want all of us to be proactive leaders and not reactive leaders. So the first one we are discussing in this episode is that proactive leaders, they think about long-term goals. They think about long-term goals. Now, if you want to be a proactive leader, you need to see yourself 5 years from today. 2 years from today, you need to look at the future. You need to see the long-term goals of your organization. So that now, when you have those long-term goals, you will begin to do planning. That is why organizations do have strategic plans. And some of these plans, they last up to 5 years. So let's say you have a long-term goal of 5 years. So in this case, you'll have to come up with milestones, the steps that you will have to implement so that you reach those long-term goals that you have set. So proactive leaders, they think long-term. They don't survive on today, but they look at survival of the business or survival of the enterprise that they are leading. They want to see themselves 5 years from now, 5 years from today, where the enterprise will be, where they want to see the enterprise to be. So in that regard, they see that enterprise at that time, but in 5 years' time. So they plan for a long-term goal. And in this case, you will find that they will realize those goals because they have the steps on how to achieve those long-term goals. Now, the second element that we are discussing in this episode is that proactive leaders, they inspire others. They inspire others. So, viewers, in this episode, I want to discuss with you that it is always important when you are a leader, you need to make people better. You need to help the people that you are offering leadership to them, that they grow, that they change, that you don't leave them the way you found them, but instead they ought to have gone a notch higher. So inspiring others is a value that is associated with proactive leaders, because they want to better their people. They want to improve the lives of their people. They want to make them better than yesterday. Every time they encourage their members to grow into something better than, as opposed to something worse, according to the state they are in. So if you want to be a proactive leader, then inspiring others is something that you need to cultivate every day you wake up, every day you walk, every time you sleep. Inspiring others, inspiring others, inspiring others. Now, the next element that we are discussing in this episode is that they are great listeners. And not only great listeners, but they also communicate. So proactive leaders, they listen to others. They don't think that they are always the best. They don't place themselves to be the best of the best, but instead they listen to everyone. For example, in an organization, if you are a CEO, a proactive CEO, it means you don't listen only to the managers of the higher level, but instead you also listen to members of staff who are at the lowest lowest level. So it doesn't mean that those people who are at the lowest level, they don't have views which will help grow the organization, but instead they have views that when you put them in place, they will grow the organization, they will sustain the organization, and instead, and again, the level at which that organization is operating will go a notch higher. So a proactive leader is one who listens to everyone and appreciating the views, the opinions of every person. They don't think that they are the best, they are the alpha and the omega, that even they don't need anyone to give them their opinion. As well, when they listen, they communicate. When they listen, they communicate, because after listening, basically you have gotten opinion. So you must communicate the direction where you want to take your organization. So a proactive leader is one who will communicate the decisions that he or she has made. Because without communication, then how will the members of staff that you are leading, how will the fellow managers, fellow directors know that that is the decision that the organization has to take, and that is the roadmap that the organization has to walk? So proactive leaders, they have to communicate. So the next virtue that a proactive leader must have is problem solving. You must have the skills of problem solving. When you are a leader, when you are leading that organization, there are quite a number of challenges that will arise. So many of them will come your way. And when they come, they will need to get a solution. If it is financial issues, financial constraint, you need to solve that problem by coming up with ways on how to raise finances for the institution. If it is looking for customers, if it is marketing, you need to have the skills that will help your organization to look for customers, to market itself, to market its product that it is producing. If it is suppliers, you have to have those skills that will help at the time when the suppliers think that the company will not be able to meet their demands, to meet with the obligation of paying the credit supplies. You need to have the skills to solve those problems. Every place where there are people, every place where there are processes, definitely there shall arise a problem. Even if it's machines, there is a time when machines break down. So you need to know how to solve those problems. But instead, do not think of running away from any problem. But instead, you need to look for ways of solving whether minute